Hey, everybody. It's really good to be with you today. Who I have with me today is actually one of my closest friends. We met 33 years ago. And it almost leaves me wordless to begin this conversation. It's one of those dynamics where there is truly just so much to say. Before I get started, however, I want to let you know what CreateAWorld is, since you're on this journey with us today. There's a specific reason that CreateAWorld came into existence. Although it did come to life through magical means, in a discovery that we as human beings are not even close to being dead in the water. We're rising pretty much everywhere. I just got back from Ireland and England, and there is something emergent, something profound happening. What we've noticed so far is that the social structures, which once limited definitions of value and contribution, are disintegrating, if not gone, which gives us the ability to reevaluate who we are as value and who we are as contribution. And instead of limiting our capacities, we're beginning to embrace that reality is colorful and comes in all sizes and shapes, and that we're building capacities to move beyond any idea of who we thought we could be before. A lot of us are having experiences of noticing the common way of things seem to be shifting, as if there's other types of realities rising, and we are needed to help those realities embody. In the collective field of Tantra, Maat, where CreateAWorld originated, we found ourselves in conversations out past the present border of what can be put into words, into conclusions, or even patterns. This has happened before. Throughout history, people gathered in various ways to either discover the next movements of their reality, or their awareness went into motion in a very unique and a very new way. Talking around a fire, marches and demonstrations, barn raisings, quilting bees, PTAs, and even military debriefs are a few examples. These are ways we listen for and sing the songs wanting to be sung. This CreateAWorld show aims to bring us all together, human beings and forces of creation, to discover the words, the language of what is rising, to sing the new songs, to live in new ways, and to perhaps restore the paradigms of what might be paradise, as I would say. This restoration calls for reclaiming humanity as a collective event, where everything is part of everything else, and we are all part of each other. This is very different from realities that have dominated hundreds of years of human experience. It matters that we engage in conversation as a collaborative, as a collective field phenomenon, each in our own unique and essential way. Being community can be just for a moment, like today, or for a lifetime. It's the foundation from which these conversations rise. There are many of us who have been living this way or calling it back into existence across the ages, and we are adding our voices to their voices through CreateAWorld. We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to know it all now. It's not even possible at this point. We have a chance to observe, to explore, to open up, to discover, and most importantly, find the courage, the willingness, the love to start where we are with ourselves and each other and go from there. To be in conversation that let us live something new with the potentiality to create something new that we think could be fun, and where perhaps real possibilities of futures rising can be born. And that is the perfect description to introduce Cynthia Marie, because it's a very specific phenomenon, because we've been together a long time and we've seen each other rise. We've seen each other invent new worlds and struggle with worlds that were not effective. And we're both empaths, we're both sensitives, we're both psychics. And part of the conversation today is going to be about what it's like to live with each other, because it's very unique and it's very potent in ways that we don't often have the opportunity to understand. So over to you to introduce yourself and anything you want to say.
Well, yeah. Thank you. We've known each other in this lifetime 33 years, and many lifetimes, without a doubt. Hence, here we are in this moment in our time. What you mentioned about where we are today, and for me, the capacity that we have today that's not accurate. Maybe it is. What capacity was available to us 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago is exponentially, it's like living in a whole new world. And isn't that what we really are stepping into, is a whole new world that has been seen, talked about, imagined, dreamt about for source knows how long. And here we are in our ever expanding, deepening lives, still moving within the realms of the personality, as the personality is sorting and allowing and forgiving and releasing and making room for that which our sensory system, our bodies, our true connection with creation has invited us to. Like, it's invited us to the party. And there's an aspect of this human form and human personality that finds it sometimes challenging, and yet is absolutely on for living into what we're being called to, and being alive in ways that I don't think when I was young I could have even imagined. When I was very, very young, I knew these worlds, and like most of us, many, not all, stepped into the paradigm of pleasing and trying to figure out how we fit. I fit. And today I'm noticing it's all falling away, and I can only live the truth that is here, that came into this world through this physical form. Nothing else is allowed, even. So that's what I think to say in the moment.
You know, see, I've known you a long time, and my question I'll frame after I ask the question, and the question is, what had you keep the faith? That's the question. And the framework is, you know, you worked in prisons, you spent quite a long time caring for your mother. You've seen the worst of the worst, and you deal with people who have been deeply compromised, and particularly sensitives and empaths. And I really, it would be very lovely to hear, or for you to look at, you know, what do you think had you keep the faith, keep going? Because there was a lot, plus illnesses that you had. There was a lot of, please stop.
There's been that. And I have recall of saying to people through the years, even when I would have my home, and then I would be made aware, you're needed here now. So, and how the house with home would sell was just magical. And where I ended up was always orchestrated. It felt very orchestrated, and sometimes against many odds. And there I was until it was time to, what I realize is to pick up and then go to the next and go to the next. And it's my faith, my love of our creation, and the knowing. It wasn't a belief. It's always been a knowing that I've been held in the arms of the beloved. When I was young, I took the opportunity when I was 5 to try and leave the planet. I did not want to be here. Everything that I had imagined and coming here to be, do, and have wasn't. And when in this near-death experience, it's called, I clearly remember being held in the arms of Yeshua, my love, and being comforted, because it felt like a fight. No, I can't go back there. And here I am. But only part of me came back for a while. There was an aspect of myself, my true self, that felt something. I don't really think it was fear. I don't know what it was, but a part of me stayed away. And I always was aware that I was being held by more than my creator, being held by some place that was waiting for something. And then there was the moment when there she was, and we've been back together in this wholeness, as a true being, navigating the next. To have lived separated from myself, separated from source, in the culture of fitting in and being aware, so aware that what I was observing was, and living with, and sensing and seeing and feeling was so inaccurate. And yet there I was in these places, these landscapes that I knew to just be who I was, and with my compassion and my love. And that truly has kept me going and continues to keep me going. But also I feel now there's more I'm more aware of that I am being called to. there is that beautiful aspect of creation that is calling me to its oneness, its wholeness, its truth, its love, as there's the aspect in me that is moving towards. It's this beautiful merging that is getting easier and easier. And when I'm in the presence of this, there's a quietness and a peace that comes within me that is undeniable. And I've always known this space amidst that which wasn't. Yeah.
I remember way back, probably 40 years ago, I would put up the picture of the Celestine chapel, and I would say, if you look, man's reaching for God and God's reaching for man. And I said, there's been a cave-in and creation is digging towards us and all the powers and forces of creation that once created paradise here. And humanity is digging towards them. And I agree. It feels like now we're in the dirt of the hole, that there's something that's not, I notice for me, there's something not driving me anymore. Like we've gotten to where it'll be easy to clear away the debris because it's active. It's not something we're having to bring our energy to. It's something that we did bring our energy to, like a bank account. And now it's active. It's just active. I would love to hear from you about, your focus of your work is, well, two areas, but we'll talk one at a time. Your focus with sensitives and empaths. And first of all, what drew you to that? What awareness did you discover? And second of all, why that is important to you?
Well, we come into the world this way, and science has shown that there's an aspect in the brain of people that are empaths that is different than the majority of society. I used to be 15%, maybe 20% was the guess. With all the beautiful young people that are coming in, I'm absolutely certain that it is a much higher percentage now. What I didn't know, speaking still of science, is that it has been discovered that over 100 species of creatures, animals, are also empaths. They have a different aspect in their brain than the rest of their groups. They behave different, they respond different. And being a child of the 50s, having the awareness, seeing the things I saw, feeling the things I saw, speaking the knowing that was present with me and not accepted in any way. I think that's when it was like, okay, I'm out of here, and quickly returned. But growing up, I noticed myself being present and easily being with those that saw things and knew things like I did. I grew up playing in the woods, and it was a simple environment of everyone's out playing in the woods, in the fields, and we hear someone's parent call for dinner, and everybody goes home. We didn't have to worry. No one cared, they cared, but they didn't have a worry about where we were and what we were doing. And throughout my life, I've always been aware of what I'm present to and what others aren't, and have been acutely aware of the reactions of people that don't understand how hard it is for people that don't understand to be with those that are so sensitive and so aware, and vice versa. You know, in the other direction, people that are so sensitive are often today even bullied and shunned and made fun of. And when I went to work, I was called to work at the state psychiatric hospital. I started really waking up to what was going on with me. And it was very frightening because so many of the things that I was seeing and feeling and sensing were similar to many of the patients at the hospital, and who were misunderstood and drugged and labeled. And truly, in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, there was no room for this conversation. And then when I went to work in the prison system with the juveniles, especially the girls and the adult men, it became poignantly clear to me that so many were being housed in these institutions because of things that they had participated in, their thinking process, their belief systems, that had them make choices that were so not aligned with the societal norms. And they were sensitives. They were creative. When given the opportunity as an expressive arts therapist, working with some of these amazing people, to be with their creativity, their poetry, their songs, their imagery. I get chills when I start remembering, and being with their stories. It was like, they're not much different than me. They made different choices than I did. And as I would be with them, and then in the administrative roles I was in, and watching and observing the conditioned interactions in the different multi-dimensional levels of those worlds, that landscape, I was becoming more and more aware of the aspects of the sensitives, and also the aspects of the prison, those that were in charge. And it became for me, it was a microcosm of the macrocosm of the worlds that we live in. And that could be a whole nother conversation of the prisoner and the guards, those that truly believe how they treat another is accurate. And I am not in any way, shape, or form saying that we don't need place. There are some people that clearly need to be housed in in places where they're not only, society is safe from them, but they're also safe from themselves. And when I left the prison in December 2012, I left state. I retired early because I felt like if I didn't find a way to retire early and buy some time, I wouldn't be here today. My full quest was to understand energy and understand how energy impacts all of life, and how life is in many different forms, different frequencies, vibrations of energy. In the quantum of the quantum worlds, and how we individually are also a reflection of the greater whole. So I began to study energy medicine, and which is now my work. And what I've learned, and I noticed it when I saw it when I was in the prisons. I saw the forces that were not life enhancing. I saw in the hallways, hovering over people's beds, in the dorms. I interacted with the forces, that unseen forces, I can say, the unseen forces that literally had their hands on people. And as I've left that system and I moved into energy medicine, as I work with individuals, I continue to see and experience the unseen forces that are interacting with the physical human being, that are impacting people's lives. And since I can bring it up, since I was supporting this group of people that was in Ireland and southern England, Glastonbury area, it's as if what has happened in my system is that which I came here for is now present. And how I have the capacity that lives has always been here, the capacity to be with another and to be on behalf of life, is, I'm still looking for words. And I'm living in an incredible curiosity of how what is available now in the realm that we think of as planet Earth, Gaia, Terra. I am so aware that the unseen forces from the multidimensional realms and interdimensional realms that we interact with, and that have always interacted with us, and they've been waiting for us. There's room now to be partners, partners and teams, communities, tribes, whatever the words are. There's so much more capacity now to be interacting with the realms of love that have always been here, just waiting and supporting us to this moment of time, so that we have a chance. We have a chance that other planets have not had a chance of. And these other realms, they've learned. And when we listen and inquire and request, there is almost a jubilation of, yes, yes, we have a chance now. We can support you. We can keep you going. We know, because of their experience, they know. And what doesn't work. And in our society, we're at a tipping point. And I really feel like we're beyond the tipping point. And there's a movement towards the wholeness and the allowing of love's lives that are living here on Earth to thrive.
Keep forgetting to take myself off mute. You know, I've watched you. She is also, we're housemates. What happened was that we always kind of thought we'd end up living together. First of all, probably nobody else could tolerate us, and it's one thing to know and to be free to say what you see and free to say what you know. And there isn't a large population of people that hear what you see and what you know and what you're present to as actuality. They hold it to be your opinion. And I could easily say that C or Cynthia Marie and I do not exist as if what we experience is opinion. And so it's lovely to have to be in the same environment together, because we also have sensitivity to when one of us is in a hit. We've been empathically hit in a manner that we have to process, and that there is a grace and a reverence for the empathic response and its effect on us and our sensitivities, because we have been living that way independently for a long time. And particularly, I think it's important at this moment in time, which leads me to my question, or leads me to my invitation, particularly at this moment of time, because that sentience within us doesn't have logic. It doesn't have language. It doesn't have cognitive language. And as I said before, it's one of the reasons we started CreateAWorld, because if you can live something, you don't have to understand it, but you get used to the ways of living it. And it's a natural state. It's an organic state. But what I did watch is I watched over the last year plus, I watched you building your website, building the gate you wanted people to meet you at, where yes. you could reach out to them and they could reach out to you. So I watched you be under pressure about that. Like you had a timeline, you had to meet it, and the frustration of everything you went through, and being driven by a knowing, being driven by an awareness that you were working your way through, a lot like tangled up weeds in a swamp. And now you have your website. So I'd love to hear about it, about how Terathea came to you, just whatever's there for you.
As I'm going there, I'm hearing to speak first to one of the ways I became informed of these other dimensions was in the 90s, I was in an immersed program for 2 years and involved a lot of expressive arts, music, dance, creativity. And I would sit with groups, and even when I worked at the psych hospital, I had to be drawing. And when I would sit with groups, all I would hear was, I had to take my pencils and I had to take my pad of paper, and I would hear, pick up this color. And then I would watch as the color made shapes and forms on the paper. And then it was pick up the next color. In my wildest imagination, I could have never thought about or seen what would literally rise off of the surface of this white blank canvas. It was I to this day don't know who was using me as a vehicle to draw and to create these. They tell me right now, yes, you do, but I consciously don't. So I'm going to stick to it at the moment. But I was a world that I did not know or have recall about, even though I saw it when I was very young, began to reveal itself through these colors and through the clay and through the paint. And as I moved through into now, what I knew as I was terrified to be seen in the world. It was very, when I was young, I was made fun of for a whole lot of reasons. And so I was very, very, very shy. And I had to learn to speak in front of people when I worked for the state, but it was always on behalf of the state. I facilitated groups. I spoke in front of wardens and superintendents. I always with my legs shaking, and it was on behalf of another. When I left the system, and even before then, I kept hearing, you have to step out in the world. We need you to be seen. There's that we again. You need to be seen. And so for a number of years, it was like the nagging, I needed to move from the Midwest to the Southwest. And here I am. And you need to be in the public. There's a great forum, Matt, to do that. It's called the internet. Like, there's no way. And I, for a few years, worked to figure out how to do it. What was the logo? What was all of it and none of it fit. None of it fit. Until one night I heard, you have to use the word Tara. It was like it just dropped in the middle of a dream state. It's like, okay. Well, a few nights later, I heard, your name is Cynthia. Thea. You're Thea. And I'm going, oh, Thia. I like that. I can be called Thea. No. Thea. And then it spelled itself out, Theia. And it was like, well, I have to look that up because it was bigger than what I was imagining. I understand Tara. I think most understand Tara. Tara is the landscape of the earth. And Thea, I discovered in the realms of the gods and goddesses, she was the mother. Thea represents the bright blue sky, the bright blue. And Thea is also considered the mother of the sun and the moon. Well, I still am learning and integrating what a Terra Thea is and how it is forming me and wanting to speak through me. So I also had to learn to ask, being so independent, thinking I had to do it all. That's how I grew up. You take care of yourself. You figure it out, you do it for yourself. And I had to ask. And a lot of the askings weren't bringing the solutions that I had hoped for until I found a beautiful woman who at that point lived in Canada. And I told her my vision, and she created the background and the logo, which we just refined in the last few months. And she just said, give me pictures, see, let me play, and give me your words. What do you want? What is it? What is this for you? And as I reflected and continue to reflect and expand into what this all means, as Terra Thea is a living entity that is moving through this vehicle to be seen and known in the world. It is truly a coming together of all that we've known on Earth and all of the cosmos has known, that we're just beginning to get glimpses of. But it's the merging of all into the meta point, the heart center of each and every one of us, that is truly who we are, in connection, in living our individual lives, an aspect of the greater whole, but we live as a hologram. Within ourselves, we are a hologram of all that exists in all time. And when I first was in development of this website, it was a process of words and images and a sense of and a living into. But as Terra Thea grew and gained her it's definitely a they there, it's their foothold here in 3D, not 3D capacity to be seen. All of a sudden it's literally it's moving worlds within this one. And it's funny because I still bump up against the structures that are needed in our internet world, and I bump up against those structures of how does it get created so that it can be seen and utilized on behalf of the whole that is wanting to be and is absolutely here present, but now being seen more and more in so many ways and through so many people. And I'm just growing. I'm growing with, as the website is growing, and as the refinement is occurring to be accurate, in a very harmonious and aligned way with that which is wanting and requiring to be known here now. So it's a continuous journey. And it's an interest, I work with people through Reiki and craniosacral and massage therapy, touch therapies, and field phenomena within the realms of the physical form that is moving around here every day. And it's been an amazing blessing to be presencing that which is wanting to be presenced right now.
And it's so one of the things that I don't even know I'm not able to cognitively articulate it, but I am aware that watching you and observing what you went through was the struggle that I see artists go through in a creative form. So when people go to look at your website, it isn't like any other website that I've ever seen. It really is a creative, expressive art that you've added words to. So that's kind of one frame I want to put around it. But the second frame, just in the secular world, we really cut the powers that presently be have cut a lot of the expressive arts out of school completely. And I think the other thing that the website demonstrates is as people go through it, or even if they don't read it, they're just that impact of creativity, the impact of forming through the creative arts, which means the creative arts are in direct relationship with creation. So it's kind of like 3 steps removed in the schools called not at all, then there's power in creativity, because you begin, I, you, they, we, it, begin to be in communication outside the logic of the day, outside of the limitation of logic. And yet something is clearly present in you and in that website that goes beyond words. And then the last thing I want to point to, or in my own observing, I got to have a private session with Sandra Fernandez, who the field of Tantra, Maat, and quantum bioengineering came together to go to Ireland and England to do activities that would reset time in a manner that humanity could evolve again. And our planet is designed to evolve. And when we lose touch with our planet, we lose touch with our ability to evolve, and taking and building another bridge there. And part of that evolution is our creative process, because that's our direct, unique, and essential direct link with creation. And I just think you embody it so well. And with the struggles of not being able to be not that. And I've watched you not be able to be not that. And but one of the things Sandra said to me that really stuck with me in my session with her is her first words were, "You still need to be understood. You still try to have people understand." And I really heard it as an evolutionary edge. And I think that CreateAWorld came together because we just wanted people to be on a journey together again, not to promote a certain logic or promote a certain technique, but just to really get back in the evolution nary path of what's occurring at this time. So I just wanted to, we're always moving so fast together. We're all in our own we're in our own privacy most of the time. So I'm really pleased that I can say that in a public venue, because I do want people to go to the website. I posted it on the YouTube chat, and I want them to know that they should examine how they experience themselves, moving through that website, because it's more than just, it's not data oriented, it's presence oriented. And just, I can tell there's something you want to respond to, so I'll put it over to you.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that. And my hope is that people feel an invitation, not needing to know what is inviting them, because the work I do is massage and Reiki,
the in the world work,
and craniosacral, and supporting the body and the emotional fields, and the physical, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual bodies all are living at the effect of our society, and we hurt. People really hurt, and these modalities are support and sometimes help release and relieve the energetic anomalies that are held in the body and have been since before coming out of the womb, unbeknownst to each of us. We have aches and pains, and we feel sadness and grief, and we sometimes people don't, it's like, why I was happy, why am I feeling this right now? And there's the tendency to want to suppress those emotions and take a pill to not feel the pain. And there's other tools that are so available to support the living presence of who we are, this physical body that we live in. And so there's an invitation, and then there's an invitation that is to try and participate and allow yourself to be touched and held in a very safe way. And there's beyond that, there's an invitation of an aspect of yourself that might be saying, oh, pay attention. Why are you being drawn to this? What is calling you? And the beauty of our quantum world, is that some of these practices do not have to be in person. They literally can be remote, anywhere, touching anywhere in the world. And it's not just for people. It's on behalf of landscapes, on behalf of the animal kingdom, because the animals are certainly, in so many ways, being affected by everything else that we're all being affected by. And there was something else I did want to say to that, and I don't recall what it is. But it is really emerging. There is a merging of the secular and the quantum. And it's not, I hear people say, well, it's not spiritual, is it? And I hear that a lot. And what I can say is, isn't all of life spiritual? Aren't we spiritual beings here in physical form? However, is it something that goes against other forms of religion and belief systems that, in my perspective, hold us separate from the capacity of our own healing abilities. And so we're such in interesting times. And if I can, I'm excited for the first time being seen in the world. I'm offering a 2-day workshop course in Columbus, Ohio in September. And it's for the high sensitives and the empaths. And it's about all we've been talking about, bringing together story, science, creativity, movement, music for 2 days, for people to be the sensitives to experience and begin to discover their oneness with creation. And find permission within themselves to begin to live the truth of who they are, instead of feeling like they have to hide and suffer and withhold what they know and recluse themselves, because the world is so painful, because we feel it. And so even me, I'm moving so fast now, it's like, okay, website. Oh, now the next, and now the next. And so I really am grateful for this opportunity to presence Terathea and all that is truly excited to be here with and serving. It's service on behalf of love.
Yeah, clearly it is. I watch you every day. I'm a witness. And I'm definitely a witness. The thought that came up as we complete today is that what's so, not only being able to have a place for pain, but also have a place for true pleasure, fulfillment. But it's our container has just been so narrow that parts of us got broken off so we could have a place to reside. And what's really beautiful is how timely modalities that originally were marketed to heal trauma, that they also can be marketed to expand capacity. Same exact modalities, but to expand the capacity for joy and sorrow, as Kyle Gibran would say, to expand the capacity to be fully present and give everything a place. So we are in a very timely moment, and we are where, and one of the things that you had shared with me about a particular organization, that people were not coming as much as they did once. And I do really think it's because the human psyche identified so many of these modalities with trauma recovery that they don't really know that they're the recovery of self. And the recovery of self is restoring the skills and the capacities to be with what there is to be with, and to have our talents as a self to rise again. So I wanted to add that at the end of our time together, because so many of us, regardless of our age, we've been living something a very long time. And out of that, we did become capable of moving into what in the field of Tantra Maat we call the next greater whole. And I think all of us are a little surprised when we hit 2023 that there was this new banner, and the banner was "It is upon us." Whoa.
It is truly upon us.
It is now upon us. We were we were running to get there, to get to this moment, and now it's upon us. So thank you, C. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
And thank you, Cynthia Marie, both and.
Yes,
Take care.
definitely
honey.
both and thank you.